All right, guys, welcome back. Hope your week is going well. That's starting to heat up over here in the Pacific Northwest, and I had a couple things on my mind I want to talk to you guys about. It's probably going to be all over the place per the usual, but it's going to be on the lines of winners win and losers lose, or to those who have much, all will be given. To those who have little, all will be taken. And it might even touch a bit into the importance of mentorship or whatever you want to call it. If you got a problem with the word mentorship, I'm going to try and like prop this phone up somehow. Let's see how this works. Look at this childish ass shirt I'm wearing. My mom got it for me. I like it, but I'd never be seen in public with it anymore. And that kind of ties back to the appearances video I had where you need to like dress and present yourself in the way that you want to be seen. It's not like extreme. You can still cut loose. You can still dress like this in public if you want to. It's just I'm a fairly serious dude outside of work, so I just choose not to be seen in crap like this unless it's like a party or something. Anyway, that's not what the movie's about. The movie. All right, on to the presentation. So there's been findings that I'm not going to cite things. All right. That's not what I'm here for. I'm just going to tell you some life experiences, some things that I've learned. It's pretty evident. Oh, my phone almost fell over. Pretty evident that, in life, it seems to be that those that win continue to win, those that lose continue to lose. And a lot of that can be, you can take it from a theological standpoint, philosophical, neurological, metaphysical, metaphorical, whatever the hell you want to say. It's something that I've learned, and it's really, God, this thing just keeps moving. I need to get like a tripod and stuff. I'll get all that stuff soon. I've just been working a lot or just regularly. I mean, it's not necessarily pure hours on the clock at work, but it's things outside of work that I do to keep the whole thing going. Oh man, you can tell I've been working. Look at that. The freaking farmer's tan from hell. So I used to do a lot of drugs, all the drugs, long time ago. I woke up handcuffed to a hospital bed back in 2009. I think when I got sober, I think I weighed around 88 pounds. I'm a small guy, but not that small by any means. I'm usually walking around 135, something like that, if I'm not working out. If I'm working out, eating clean and training hard, maybe like 190, 200. But I've only done that once as well. I don't really mess around with that either. I've definitely had a checkered past, and I've done a lot of things to hurt myself. And I'm definitely the exception to the rule. Most of the people that I rolled with are either dead or in prison. And my children don't know this side of me, the other side of me. Luckily, I didn't have any kids at this time. They kind of don't really, they believe it. They know dad's telling the truth. That's the way I used to be, but they can't see it. And that's because I've changed my life so much. But that's not usually how the story goes. And one of the big reasons that that's not usually the way the story goes is when you practice a behavior, what's happening is you're teaching your brain that like you're making strong connections. Basically, you can think of it like a rut in a road. If you keep taking that same path, that rut's just going to get deeper and deeper and deeper. So not only is it hard to get out of bad habits, that's why it's so important not to make them in the first place, but it also increases the likelihood that you're going to fall back into that rut. And I've been through plenty of treatment, therapy. I'm fairly well read for a layman anyway. I do try. I'll give you guys a reading list of some of the books I've read that have really helped me out. And books don't necessarily, they're not going to translate it into wealth right away or anything like that, but it can definitely help you get a better, broader understanding about human nature in general, or a lot of things. It can help you get through trauma depending on what you're dealing with and what you're willing to look at. I want to pause for just one sec. But during AA, NA, I've been through all those types of things, and I really like 12-step programs. I haven't been in a meeting in probably a decade, close to that. Yeah, right around a decade, a little less than a decade. I had probably four and a half years of continuous sobriety, and my sobriety looked like pure straight edge. That's the kind of guy I am even to this day. If I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it all the way. So if I'm going to mess around with substances, I'm going to go all in. If I'm going to be clean, I'm going to be all clean. And that's kind of a volatile lifestyle. It's rough to be that way, but I know I'm not alone. There's plenty of people that are like that. And it also ties back to one of my other videos where I talked about initially that was a losing strategy, but if you can live it and learn from it, it seems to be a decent, maybe not the best or greatest or anything like that, long-term strategy. And when I'm talking about bad strategy versus good strategy, I'm talking about those that had a checkered past and those that maybe had a rough upbringing. I love my parents to death. They did the best they could for me. But there was definitely some rakes that they stepped on raising me. They'd never been a parent before, and they were also dealing with their own things, economic insecurities, personal insecurities, trying to fit in with others, going with the crowd, experimenting with substances, parties, stuff like that. And I'm not trying to cast any shade on my parents by any means. I'm just saying that one of the best privileges in life, believe it or not, isn't really tied to your skin color. A lot of times it is tied to if you were lucky enough to be born in a good country, in a good state. And the biggest ones is if you're born to parents that have a good head on their shoulders. They already know what they want out of life, and they have what it takes to get there sooner because they're able to show you with their actions how to navigate life. I'm very, very proud of my parents. And my dad definitely had the long, hard road out of hell. He had to kind of raise himself. And so, again, I just want to be very clear. I'm not casting aspersions on my father. I don't blame him for anything. But he definitely had some struggles younger. So he wasn't really in the best position to show me how one ought to live, how one ought to be in life until a little bit later. Sorry, my autistic roommate keeps existing. That's frustrating. Anyway, I was talking about my dad, upbringing, stuff like that. Oh, okay. Privilege. Some of the best privileges would be born into a nuclear family, a mother, a father that were married, possibly college educated, probably have some sort of a theological background. Pick your religion. It just seems to produce a little bit of a net positive. These aren't necessarily moral claims. I'm just saying if you zoom out and look at the big picture, you'll find those that do best in life right out the gate are usually those that have the best upbringings right out of the gate. But you also see there's a limit to that. So if like you're born into just like extreme wealth, a lot of times the younger males do not do well at all. And I speak a lot on the male domain because, again, it's the one that I occupy. But boys turning into men, and then men themselves, they have to create their value themselves. They're not born with it intrinsically. It takes time to develop as a male. It takes a lot of time to burn away the chaff. And that mission doesn't stop. I'm still doing it now. I don't know how many hundreds of times a better man than I am now than I was even, let's say, last year. But I am, and that's going to keep on going. I do think there's growth spurts and stuff, but I don't really believe that your baseline needs to keep going back down to Mountain Dew and porn addiction or whatever the case is. You can get out of that crap, but it is challenging, especially if you've put yourself through hell like I have. I was a poly addict, basically a dumpster. My preferred drugs of choices were opiates, and I find that kind of ties back to people's natural disposition. I'm naturally wiry. I was neurotic. I'm not nearly as neurotic as I used to be. I don't actually think I'm neurotic anymore whatsoever. I like to use self-deprecating humor. And if I had more energy right now, I'd probably be adding in more humor and a little bit more of that personality, but I'm whooped because I work my butt off and it's hot out and so on and so forth. But I find that those that are naturally up like to be down, and those that kind of have more of a natural depressive nature or just calmer, those are the types that really like to burn themselves out with stimulants. That wasn't me. I didn't like those as much, but I would do anything. And what I've found is it not only is really hard to quit doing those things, but it's really easy to slip back in. And in AA or NA or any of these types of 12-step programs that I used to go to, they have a saying, 1 is too many and 1,000 is never enough. And that right there can kind of tie back to this neurological thing that I'm trying to tell you guys, which this isn't so much some AA talk or anything like that. What I'm trying to say is, like, even they know that whether they know it or not, on the neurological side, The reason that one is too many and 1,000 is never enough is because when you're an addict, you have a very deep rut with that kind of lizard brain reward system where you're gonna react back to what you used to do when time goes, when stress gets too high or whatever. If you don't have good coping mechanisms, you're gonna go back to your same old, and you're gonna hit the ground running. You're probably gonna pick up right where you left off. And that ties into how losers lose and winners win. If you are the type of person that takes losses unnecessarily back to back in life, whether it's because of your fear of confrontation or you lack confidence in yourself or you have trauma from a childhood, or whatever it is, I don't really give a crap. But if you don't reach the point where your like pain of staying the same outweighs the fear of change, you're probably going to go back to that same thing over and over and over. And it's easy to do because there's already a neural pathway to that same thing that you used to do. And even in the Bible, there's something, I'm probably going to butcher it, but it's that I said that in the beginning, I believe, but to those who have much, all will be given. To those who have little, all will be taken. I don't know how many spins on that there is, but my interpretation of that is that, and you already get what I'm saying, but those that have are going to keep getting, and those that don't have are going to keep like losing and getting taken advantage of, taken for a ride. But you can stop that cycle. It does take, I mean, it's going to be different for everybody, right? But for me, it took everything. It took everything to pull my head out of my ass. And I still stick it back up there every now and then, but not like I used to. Now I learn from my mistakes the first time. And if it takes more than one or two times to learn something, that whatever that endeavor is probably isn't for me. And I usually will just like put it on the back burner unless it's pressing. That might not be a very good point. But you find this also in the 80-20 rule. You find this in the, what would that be? Like the bell graph. You find this in a lot of things where 20% of the population is going to have 80% of the wealth. 20% of labor done is going to be done, or excuse me, 80% of labor done, or 80% of your production at a company, or your 80% of your brilliant ideas, it's going to come from 20% of your staff. That 80-20 rule is amazing, and you can get on the other side of that. You can turn into one of the havers, the getters, the guys that get it and do it. You do have to put in a lot of hard work, and it's not, the work comes after the choice. That's something else I've noticed. You can think and read your way into new ideas and all this kind of crap, but you can't really think your way into a new way of acting. You really have to act your way into a new way of thinking. And that's not exactly like fake it till you make it. What it is it kind of comes from a choice of deciding that you are worth it, that you're going to give it your best. And for me, part of the reason that I decided to do it is, you would think it's because I have kids. No, that wasn't good enough for me, I guess. I mean, I don't have that thought. I don't actually think that I didn't believe that my kids were good enough to change. It's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is like I lay everything at my feet. And so when I look back and knowing that my oldest daughter is 11 years old and that I was still hurting myself in smaller ways up until she's like 11 years old, it just shows by my actions that apparently it's not just the gift of children that instantly make you have self-worth. Like I still hated myself, and a child being brought into it is a very beautiful thing. Amazing. It's the best thing that's ever happened to me, but that didn't make me love myself. It wasn't until I took a hard look in the mirror and realized that I don't measure up to what I know a good man is. And I'm still learning what a good man is, but I have most of the big parts all figured out. I do, as far as the big pieces of what a man is. But this idea that being nice or a good guy is a nice guy, that's not it, man. You should try and be nice for sure. But nice, I'm finding a little bit of a decent translation or synonym for that is agreeable. Agreeableness does not translate into strength as a man. You have to be very disagreeable, and in order to be disagreeable, you have to know what's up. It's hard to pop off and take a stand when you don't even know where the hell up is. And so it definitely, it takes time for a guy to figure it all out. But it does start with the choice that you're going to start winning. You deserve to start winning. And I think I totally forgot my train of thought on part of it, but part of the reason that I decided was that I realized no matter how much hell I put myself through, I am still stuck with me. And unless I'm actually going to get off this rock prematurely, which I'm not interested in that. Suicide's never really been on the table for me, but I've been under emotional stress, the amounts of trauma and stuff that would lead someone to feel that way. So it's not that I haven't had my reasons. Anybody has their reasons. Existence is suffering in some way. The beauty of life is in accepting that suffering, because when you voluntarily carry the burden, bear your cross, whatever that may be, when you choose that you're going, instead of going to work because you have to, it can be as simple as a change of perspective. Put on a new pair of glasses. You go to work, you're going to get a paycheck, but stop looking at that paycheck. Maybe look at what can I do while I'm at work that's going to benefit me? How can I carry myself in a way that's going to make me feel good about how I went about things? And that can be pretty jarring to people around you if you've been at your place of employment for a while and they're used to you being a certain way. But it's your life that you're living. The sooner you can realize that it's not other people's responsibility to have your best interest at heart. It's nice if they do, and that's where friendship and maybe mentorship can come in. Having a mentor and maybe a friend or two is very important. But as I've gained a lot of confidence, genuine confidence, and realized that I am not only worth loving, but that I'm someone to be proud of. I treat myself like someone that I care for. I treat myself like someone that has value and potential, and not just potential, but I actually I can deliver. I can deliver on the things that I say. Those are the wins that I'm talking about. Those are the things that actually build up genuine self-worth and can help shape what a man is. It's really hard to expect to be taken seriously when I've already gone over the appearance stuff. If you're running around at Walmart in pajamas at 2 p.m., you're a clown, okay? You're just a freaking clown. That's fine. Be a clown. But if you want to stop being a clown, there's some steps you should take. Same thing in life. If you want to have the confidence to be able to put your foot down or draw the line in the sand and go, you know what? Hey, I'm not going to be treated that way. That's just something you're not permitted to do. They're going to, what? Who are you to say that? And it's like, yeah, it's not my problem that you didn't know that you can't do that. I'm just letting you know you can't do that. It's a stupid example, but I think you're getting what I'm saying. Like, it's good to be disagreeable. People overvalue other people's feelings. I'm not saying run around and be an a-hole to people. What I'm saying is know that the value of someone else's opinion that doesn't even have something that you want, why do you care what they think about you? Like, at all? It's insane. If you wouldn't want to trade spots with their life, why do you give a crap? And I'm not saying like be insubordinate to your boss. That's not what I'm getting at. It's almost the inverse. It's like, how do you expect to have confidence when you don't even act the way you know a man should? If you know that a real man does not watch pornography, then how that, you know what I mean? Like, you gotta knock that shit off at some point. Like, stop being a kid, stop acting like children do. It is actually the killing of the child that actually, the metaphorical child, the child within us. There's still a boy in me to some extent, and that boy is interested in a lot of the same things that the boy always was. It's where I get my sense of adventure from. It's where I get my humor from. It's okay to be lighthearted and be able to tap into that youth. It's what allows me to relate and get on all fours with my children and play, and still use my imagination and have a good time. But I don't allow those desires very much authority in my head, my heart, whatever. And again, I don't have everything figured out, but I've figured out a few things. You really do have to start taking reign of yourself inside. And at first, it's going to be a tough negotiation if you've allowed that child to run rampant your whole life like I did. I have always been trying to feed that monster of just pleasure. I want to feel nice. I want to go on vacations. That's another thing, dude. Vacations. Like, take a little bit of mental health time or whatever. Maybe go on a vacation around your house, or not around your house. I mean, your home turf. Maybe go to the next state over. But I don't think that people that are in their 30s and trying to put their life together, I don't really think that your priority should be like going to Europe for a couple of weeks and crap, and then thinking that like seeing Stonehenge is gonna, like, being well traveled at a young age that's not really gonna pan out to some awesome results at the end. And that's not to say it's bad. Do that if that's what you really want. But I do think that's kind of, that ties into what I'm talking about, where you're like you're kind of letting that kid run around a little bit too much. I think it's important to take yourself seriously to some extent. I mean, I definitely know how to lighten up, and I do. I spend a lot of my day laughing about absurd stuff. I'm still ridiculous 9 times out of 10. But when it comes, time to get down to brass tacks, I know how to do it. I know how to, punch the gas. And when I do punch the gas, good luck keeping up with me. That's part of my personality of just being extreme. But instead of being in competition with other people now or trying to get validation, that's a cue thing. Like, I couldn't possibly care less about your validation, especially if you don't have something to offer. Whoa. Whether that's through your own life experience or you don't have something to offer me in terms of how I can benefit my life in some way. That's why it's important to find a good mentor, at least like one. You can call it what you want, but if you find a good mentor, you need to present yourself to that individual in a way that shows that person that that's your mentor. When that person's thinking like, oh man, my shitter's clogged, this, that, and the other, you need to have the mentality of like that. He needs to know you're that guy. And you don't want it to be some parasitic relationship. You probably don't want to be a mentor to some cokehead or some abusive person. But if you do know of someone that has something that you want, or if you know of someone that has something you want, it could be monetary, it can be intrinsic, it could be all sorts of things. Man, I want to go on a rabbit trail so bad. Y'all motherfuckers way overvalue money, dude. Like, stop being so insanely greedy. It's a bad look. It's gross, and it like pushes you further and further away from money almost all the time. Because like when your primary motivator is money and it's not value, people know it. Like, sure, you're probably going to get some money. You're probably going to get what you're looking for eventually, but like, you're not really going to get the life lessons that you can get by seeking self-improvement above all else. All else, dude. Seek self-improvement above all else. And I don't mean like seeking like self-help books. I like there's a part in Bad Santa, the original one, where he says you can't help yourself because yourself sucks. I thought that was funny. I don't know if it's true, but I kind of related to it for a long time, like reading all these self-help books. Dude, that's actually kind of funny. There's a lot of books I did read back when I didn't pull my head out of my ass, and they were a lot of self-help books, and they didn't help. But then I started reading some other books, and time, experience. Time takes time, man. Don't give up, especially if you know in your heart that you have a good amount of potential in your own little world. And I'm at the point I wouldn't trade places with anybody on earth. Anybody. And God is my witness knows I'm not lying about that. I wouldn't trade spots with Elon Musk, Andrew Tate, like the garbage man down the street, the Pope, anybody. And that's not because I'm doper than all those people. It's that I don't want their successes or their potential or any of that kind of stuff. I want to see where this goes, because it's been a long, hard road out of hell. And I'll be damned if I don't see the end of this tape here. So I finally was able to turn the ship around, and I can tell that my trajectory is just, it's spot on, dude. It's right where I want to be going. And God, there's those voodoo ghosts again. I'm going to have trials and tribulations. I couldn't possibly care less. And I hope that I can help guide somebody into getting this mindset. Some of it's just a choice, like a light switch. Some of it takes time. You have to experiment around, but I guess my overall message of the video has changed to like, don't give up, especially if you know that you have a good heart. If you know that you have a good heart and you're not like super jaded and nihilistic, don't give up at all. If you are nihilistic, stop being nihilistic. Like, give a shit. Your whole idea of we're all just dust floating around. What if you're right? That doesn't help anything. Like, do you feel good that it's all meaningless? And no, it doesn't fucking help. So even if it's true, it amounts to nothing. You're gonna do a lot better and go a lot further in life if you You can even call it pretend. If you just act as though this matters, you're auditioning every day of your life. And also you're showing other people, when you actually put your best foot forward, you're showing other people how to do it. My life isn't really any easier than the people around me. I have just as many reasons to complain as you do. Maybe not just as many. That's not really accurate. But my point is, the mentality of you thinking your life is harder literally makes your life harder. That's losing. Losers continue to lose. Winners win. Like, nothing gets better by you complaining about it. Marcus Aurelius had a quote or something in one of his meditations, which essentially was just his personal diary, by the way. He'd probably be rolling in his grave if he knew we had access to this. But he wrote to himself something along the lines of, don't be overheard complaining. Don't ever be overheard complaining, not even by yourself. That has so much depth and wisdom to it, beyond the just blanket statement of don't complain. The reason you don't want to complain, especially around other people, or especially to yourself, well, around other people, you make yourself look weak to other people. You just do. When you're complaining, you're like, dude, just shut up. When you complain to yourself, you actually increase, so you can tie philosophy to neurology. You increase the level of cortisol in your body. Cortisol is a stress hormone, okay? I don't know much. I'm a layman, like I said, fairly autistic. I'm joking about that. If you're sensitive to autism talk, I don't care at all. But complaining is just, it doesn't make anything better. Just try and be a doer. Try and make things better. If you have a big problem with something, try and be a part of that change. And if it's something that you genuinely can't change because it's bigger than you, or it's just too overwhelming, it's time to get out of whatever that situation is. If you work at, let's say, the Olive Garden, for example, and you're a server there, and you bring in decent tips, but no matter what you do, you hate every moment of it. And the reasons that you hate it is because every manager is sadistic and narcissistic personality disorder, and whatever the case is. If you're overwhelmed by the change that it would take to make it a place to work, then just leave. Go somewhere else. And don't act like you can't. That's the other thing, is people act like they don't have agency or they don't have mobility. I'm 36 years old and I've changed industries way more than I should have. And I'm done doing that now. I'm not going back anymore. I'm only going forward. I've settled in what I'm doing. Not settled, by the way. Don't settle. What I mean is I settled in the sense of I've settled on this industry for now. Or not even necessarily for now. This is my trade, and it's what I'm going to strike the anvil, metaphorically, and voluntarily do it. I'm choosing to do it, and I'm in competition with myself. And it turns out when I get in competition with myself instead of measuring myself against others, I can't express just how sincere I mean it when I say I don't measure myself against others, because there's nobody around me worth measuring myself to. And that's the truth. I'm just going to be miles ahead of the competition, and that's fine. Hopefully they see it and implement something for themselves, but I don't really care anymore. And that's not some jaded bullcrap. It's kind of a realization that I think a lot of guys will get, where friends are good, but they're possibly overvalued to a true man. I don't actually need any support anymore. I like it. It's good. I'm always going to have support. And I think part of the reason I'm going to have so much support is because I'm not fixated on making sure that I have soft, cozy shit around me. I'm ready to go into war, dude. Whatever, metaphorically, whatever I have to do, I'm going to do it because I'm capable and I know that I am. So I think that's enough of this rant. Winners win, losers lose. Try to get on the winning side of that equation there. And it'll start with a small victory, right? Start with cleaning your room consistently. It's a small thing. If you think you're above it, that's your problem. That's literally your problem, is if you think you're above menial tasks, no wonder you don't have confidence. No wonder you don't feel good about yourself. You've deemed somewhere along the lines that you're above menial tasks in your life. And it's ridiculous. It's kind of embarrassing how I was like that for so long. There's value in cleaning. There's value in taking care of your own lawn and not paying someone else to do it. Now, if you have the type of skill set where your income is such that you are literally going to lose out on money to mow your own lawn, you should probably just go ahead and, hire somebody. But if your income isn't some ridiculous amount where you can have an in-house cook or whatever the case is, do it yourself. It's good for you. It's good for your mental health. And it's a small way of showing yourself that you care for yourself and that you're taking this seriously. And I'm telling you, the universe has a way of responding to you. Wow, we're coming up on a half hour. Oh man, I'm going to wrap this up. Do good things. Love you. Bye.